A viewer named Rick left a comment on our last video that stopped me cold. He said, "I bought my truck outright, paid cash, no loans, no lease, and yet somehow I need the dealership's permission to fix my own property." Rick, you just described the single biggest legal battle happening in the American automotive world right now, and most truck owners have absolutely no idea it is already being lost. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the right to repair war. We're going to show you exactly how automakers, dealerships, and federal regulators are systematically stripping your legal right to touch, modify, or diagnose the vehicle sitting in your own driveway. And more importantly, we're going to show you the specific laws, the specific lobby groups, and the specific dollar amounts being spent to make sure you never find out until it is too late. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to 2012. That year, Massachusetts passed the first right to repair law in the country, forcing automakers to give independent mechanics access to the same diagnostic data that dealership technicians use. The auto industry fought it hard. They lost. Massachusetts voters passed it with 86% approval. 86%. That is not a close vote. That is a landslide. That is every mechanic, every farmer, every truck owner in that state standing up and saying, "This is our property and we will fix it ourselves." But here is what happened next. Instead of accepting the will of the voters, automakers went to Washington. They went to their lobbyists. And in 2014, they quietly negotiated a voluntary national agreement that looked like a compromise on the surface, but was carefully written with enough loopholes to make it nearly meaningless in practice. Independent shops got access to some data, but the most critical diagnostic functions, the ones required to reset proprietary modules, to flash updated software, or to authorize replacement parts, those stayed locked behind dealership walls. And then the technology accelerated and the walls got higher. By 2018, the new generation of trucks rolling off assembly lines were no longer just mechanical machines with computers bolted on. They were computers on wheels. The Ford F-150, with its aluminum body and its twin turbocharged EcoBoost engine, communicates with over 150 individual electronic control modules simultaneously. 150 separate computers all talking to each other through a proprietary encrypted network called CAN bus. When something goes wrong on that truck, you cannot simply plug in a generic OBD2 scanner and read the codes. You need the manufacturer's specific software. You need a paid subscription to access it. And in many cases, you need a dealership-level authorization code just to clear the fault and reset the system. Think about what that means in practice. You are a farmer in rural Nebraska. Your work truck throws a code at 6 a.m. during harvest season. The nearest dealership is 90 miles away. They cannot get you in for 4 days. And even if they could, the repair requires a software authorization that only their master technician terminal can generate. Your $65,000 truck is sitting dead in your field while your crops are rotting. And the law, as it currently stands, gives you no recourse. This is not an accident. This is the business model. In 2020, Massachusetts voters went back to the ballot box. They passed an updated right to repair law with 75% approval, this time specifically targeting wireless telematics data, the real-time information your truck streams to the manufacturer constantly. Automakers responded by simply disabling those telematics systems in Massachusetts rather than complying. General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis all pulled their wireless diagnostic features from new vehicles sold in that state. They looked the voters of Massachusetts directly in the eye and said, "We would rather break our own product than give you access to your own data." The legal battle that followed is still being fought in federal court today. Now here is where it gets personal for every truck owner in America, regardless of what state you live in. In 2021, the Federal Trade Commission released a report that explicitly supported the consumer's right to repair their own property. The Biden administration issued an executive order encouraging the FTC to take action against repair restrictions. It looked like the tide was turning. It looked like Washington was finally on the side of the wrench. But then came the lobbyists. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation, the trade group representing virtually every major automaker selling vehicles in America, spent over $25 million in a single year lobbying against right to repair legislation at the federal level. $25 million to protect one thing: their monopoly on your repair data. They hired former senators. They hired former EPA officials. They packed congressional hearings with cybersecurity experts who testified, with a straight face, that giving you access to your own truck's diagnostic port was a national security threat. A national security threat. Your truck, in your driveway. The cybersecurity argument is the one they lean on hardest because it sounds legitimate. And there is a kernel of truth buried inside it. A fully wireless, fully networked, modern vehicle does present real cybersecurity risks. Researchers have demonstrated that certain vulnerabilities in connected vehicle systems could theoretically allow remote access. That is real. But here's the question they never want you to ask. If the security risk comes from the wireless connectivity, why is the solution to deny your local mechanic access to a physical diagnostic port? Why is the answer to lock independent repair shops out of the system entirely, rather than to simply build better security? Because the answer was never about security. The answer is about money and control. Here is the number that tells you everything you need to know. In 2019, the automotive aftermarket, meaning independent repair shops, parts suppliers, and do-it-yourself owners, represented a $391 billion industry in the United States. The dealership service and repair monopoly wants that money. Every dollar you spend at an independent shop is a dollar not going into the dealer's service pay. And right now, through proprietary software locks, through parts authorization systems, and through the quiet lobbying of federal regulations, they are systematically redirecting that river of money back toward themselves. And it is working. Between 2010 and 2022, the share of vehicle repairs performed at independent shops declined steadily as vehicles became more electronically complex. Not because independent mechanics got worse at their jobs, because the software walls got higher. The agricultural industry hit this wall first and hit it the hardest. John Deere became the face of the repair monopoly when farmers discovered that their $500,000 combine harvesters contained software locks that made it illegal under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act to repair or modify their own equipment. The DMCA, a law written in 1998 to protect music and movies from piracy, was being weaponized to tell a corn farmer in Iowa that he did not have the legal right to fix a broken tractor sitting in his own barn. John Deere argued in federal proceedings that farmers do not own their tractors. They purchase a license to operate the software that runs the tractor. The farmers' outrage went viral. It became a national story, and it showed every truck owner in America exactly where the automotive industry intended to take them next. Because your truck is next. It already is next. Right now, General Motors has a program called Super Cruise that requires a monthly subscription fee to remain active. Ford has similar subscription-gated features on its trucks. These are not streaming services. These are physical hardware capabilities built into a vehicle you already purchased, held hostage behind a monthly payment wall. And the next logical step, the one the industry has been quietly working toward, is software-locked engine parameters, throttle response, rev limiters, towing capacity limits, all adjustable remotely, all potentially tied to your insurance premium, your registration status, or your compliance with future emissions mandates. If that sounds like science fiction, recall that in 2020, Tesla remotely unlocked additional battery range on vehicles in Florida ahead of Hurricane Irma. The same capability that allowed them to give range can be used to take it away. And unlike Tesla owners, most truck buyers never signed up for that kind of relationship with their manufacturer. So what do you do right now? First, know your state. 17 states currently have some form of right to repair legislation, either passed or actively moving through their legislatures. Find out where your state stands and contact your representative. Second, support the independent shops in your area with your dollars. Every repair you take to an independent mechanic instead of a dealership is a direct vote against the monopoly. Third, if you own a pre-OBD2 vehicle, a truck built before 1996, protect it. Maintain it. Those vehicles are outside the software lock ecosystem entirely, and their value as independent transportation is only going to increase. The automakers are counting on your apathy. They are counting on you to shrug and say, well, technology changes. What can you do? What you can do is understand that the right to repair your own property is not a technical issue. It is a property rights issue. It is a freedom issue, and it is worth fighting for. Have you been locked out of your own vehicle's diagnostic system? Has a dealership told you that a repair requires software authorization that only they can provide? Tell us your story in the comments, because every story builds the case. If you believe your wrench is your right, hit subscribe and join the fight. We will see you in the next one.